So here are some main concerns, right? Areas you may or may not know are problems for you. Number one, now this is easy because it's just a simple math problem, right? It's a simple question, but are you paying too much for Fegli Option B? Well, first of all, you may not even know if you have Option B or not. How do we discover that? We look at your situation. We look at your leave and earning statement. We look through all the codes. We look through the deductions that you have. If you're not paying for it, you don't have it. But if you're paying for it, you may notice that you're paying too much for it, or you will pay too much for it over time. We'll talk about that here in a second. Not having enough money or income in retirement. Big concern. How do we look at that? I'll talk about that in a second. Survivor benefits. Survivor benefits. There's a couple things within that I want to discuss with you. Number 4, proper setup of thrift savings plan. We get that question a lot when we give group presentations. How should I set up my TSP? What are my options with my TSP? What should I do with my TSP? We can give some guidance, some direction, share some of those options with you. Debt. You've heard on our other episodes that we've given, we've had several where we talked about debt and the debt problem. I'll talk about that in a second. And disability and long-term care needs. Now, these are what happens if I get hurt, injured, I'm in some kind of situation where I need additional care. What are my solutions for that? So let's dive into the first one, paying too much for Fegli Option B. Now, what is Option B? If you're not familiar, I highly recommend that you go back and look at our previous episodes about Fegli. Specifically, we have ones on Option B and paying too much for that. But to keep it short, Fegli Option B is additional coverage that you elected at some point. Generally, when you first got hired, it allows you to get up to 5 times your salary in additional benefits. And the cost for this increases every 5 years starting at age 40. And initially, those costs aren't drastic, but eventually it will double, almost double, more than double. And if I say the word double, more than double, when it comes to cost, you can see how that can go up pretty darn fast. And at some point, the cost for this gets way too expensive, and most federal employees will cancel this coverage. It's not something I generally see people holding on to for life, and especially into retirement, because those costs become astronomical, and you can see that, hey, I don't want to be paying this much for this coverage. So there are ways, and we talk about the remedy now. So that's the problem. That's the area of concern. What is the solution? The solution is if you're in generally good health, meaning you're in a state of health where you can qualify for outside life insurance, there are ways in which you can lock in your rate, meaning it's a rate that will not increase every 5 years starting at age 40. It will be locked in from day one, whenever you get it, and remain the same, remain level for the duration of the plan. Now, whether that's a temporary plan or a permanent plan, the cost will remain level. Now, what does that mean to you? A level cost instead of an increasing cost, even if you're going to end up paying a little bit more today to get this type of coverage or this plan, over time, it will save you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your career. So what kind of solution is this? This is a money-saving solution, finding a better way to pay for the exact same insurance coverage, if not more, right? The government says you can get up to 5 times your salary. What if you need more than that? A lot of times when we do a needs analysis for insurance, you need more than just 5 times your salary. So you can customize it with a private plan, customize also your cost because it's based on your health, not the health of the group, because Fegli is a group life insurance plan. And you can save yourself up to tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your career. Well, where can those tens of thousands of dollars in savings go? They can go towards your pocket, towards your checking or savings account, or towards your retirement. Pretty awesome. But a lot of people, it becomes too late, too far down the road. They're like, man, I wish I would have known about this earlier, and I could have stopped the bleeding. I could have saved myself more money while I was younger and healthier before I saw these drastic increases. Yeah, so the earlier you can look into this, the better. I say for every federal employee, this is just my opinion now, but in every federal employee that I've seen that's healthy enough, has decent enough health to get private life insurance coverage, it is more cost effective for them over time in every single case. Everybody that's at least eligible to get a standard form of private life insurance will save money over time compared to Fegli Option B. Get your review done. Let's see if this is an area of concern for you and how much money you can save over time. Not having enough. Now there's, going back a few slides here, I said not having enough retirement savings or not having enough income in retirement. So when we get to the end of your career, you want to know that you have enough money to live on, number one. You want to have enough retirement income. And we've done episodes where we say, hey, we want to at least cover, we have a baseline income in retirement to cover our general expenses and then some with guaranteed lifetime income. And those things are like your pension, Social Security, and others. Maybe you have a VA disability or a military pension or some other form of lifetime income. You want to make sure your general living expenses, your day-to-day, is covered by those things. And why? Because the number one fear of retirees is running out of money, right? You want to make sure that you are not going to run out of money or be in a situation where you don't have as much when you get through retirement. And hopefully that money, that income increases over time as well to help, prevent against not having enough due to inflation. Because you may think, yeah, this income amount's going to be great for me, but if it's level, it doesn't increase over time, then it's going to end up not having your dollar go as far as inflation and things cost more in the future. So you want to make sure you have enough. Now, how do you know this? Well, even if you're saying, well, retirement is 30 years away, 20 years away, what do? You need to get a retirement projection done, get a ballpark estimate of what your future is going to look like, and see if you're on the right track. And if you are, great. You've got peace of mind, just like that doctor checkup, to say, I'm good. My health is good. My retirement income health is good. And I know I'm on the right track. And do a review every year or so, maybe every year or two, and just make sure you're on the right track. In the same way you go to get a physical or a checkup every year, get a checkup as often as you'd like to make sure you're on the right track. Because you don't want to say, hey, I did this early on in my career and they said I was good, so I stuck with it. No, do a review ongoing so that you can make sure and continue to ensure that you're on the right track. So what happens? What's the remedy if you realize you're not? Well, we're not miracle workers here, right? We're not magicians. Now, how do you have additional money in retirement? You have to put it aside. You have to provide for it. You're either going to, if you have not enough in retirement, you're either going to have to change your lifestyle in retirement. Most people don't want to do that. Most want to stay at the same level, right? Quality of life level that they're at prior to retirement. So how do you have money there for you if it's lacking once we do your review or analysis? You have to put additional money aside. And that means you can put more into your TSP, more into other type supplemental retirement accounts. People look into Roth IRAs or Roth IRA alternatives, tax-free retirement strategies, other ways to save additional monies for retirement. And trust me, if you overplan, meaning you're putting enough aside today to overplan for retirement and ensure, almost guarantee that you're going to have enough and then some, you are not going to hate yourself. Your future self is not going to be disappointed if you have too much money in retirement. That's just a fact, right? You're going to love the fact that you planned younger when you were younger instead of saying, retirement will be here when it gets here and I'll deal with it then. No, you want to prepare, if not over-prepare. Why? Because there are some things that could affect, right? The market volatility, if you're relying 100% on TSP and there's too much risk and boom, you see a drastic decrease in that can have a nasty effect on your retirement and your retirement income. What if Social Security is not there at the same capacity? Go back and view our episode about the 2023 Social Security Trustees Report. Go read the report and see what it says about the future of Social Security. So if you over-prepare and make sure and ensure that you're going to have enough, you're going to love yourself in the future. Your future self, your future retiree self of you is going to love the fact that you've prepared and not over-prepared. So how do we find that out? You got to get a review done to see what it looks like. Take a temperature check and see where you're at. Survivor benefits. Now, there's two things here. Survivor benefit, I'm going to say for your survivor, your beneficiary, your spouse and kids, you have what's known as option C with Fegli. This is family, spouse and kids life insurance. Now, you can get up to, I just mentioned with option B, 5 times your salary in additional life insurance coverage. How much can you get for your spouse? You can get up to 5 times your salary for you. The maximum you can get on your spouse is 5 units or $25,000 worth of coverage. There's an imbalance there. And we need to correct that imbalance because if something happened to you, great. Maybe you've got 5 times your salary and they're covered. But if something happened to your spouse, do you have enough on them? We have to correct that imbalance and at least get them towards a similar type of coverage amount that you have. Because I know if something happened to my spouse, $25,000 definitely not going to cover it, right? Especially if you've got younger kids at home, you have other things that you need to take care of in the future. We don't want to think of what happens, but we want to make sure we're prepared if something did. So correcting that imbalance for spouse and kids on the life insurance side. The second area of concern is when it comes to survivor benefits in retirement. You have the option to choose the survivor benefits plan. Now, I'm going to stop here and say, go back and view our episodes on the survivor benefits plan, because that's an entire episode on itself. But you can see that there are costs for the program, and there are shortfalls, downfalls of the program that the government offers when it comes to providing a portion of your pension should you die first in retirement. So the two things, like I mentioned, the imbalance with the life insurance for your survivors, your spouse and kids, and then the options that you have as a retiree when you fill out your retirement paperwork. How much of your pension do you want to leave your spouse in the event you died first in retirement? Understand all the ins and outs about that, the good, the bad, the ugly, the costs that are involved with each survivor benefit option. Whether you're CSRS or FERS, there are different options for you and different costs involved. So you want to make sure you know all the variables and you make the right decision, because some people would be like, well, after knowing all the facts, I don't want to take the survivor benefits. Or maybe after knowing the facts, you say, I just want to take a partial survivor benefit. I don't need the full amount. And we can look at other ways that you can provide a death benefit to your spouse and kids should something happen to you first, either while you're working or in retirement. So just understanding all of those options and not just going with the flow. Hey, this is what everybody does. The government offers me a survivor benefit. I can leave my pension to my spouse. I'm just going to choose what the government gives me because that's all I know and that's all I think I have to choose from. That is incorrect. You need to know all of the things, right? It's not just, hey, everybody gets the same medication. Everybody belongs into the same situation, because your situation is different than the person you work next to, is different than the next person. So understanding all of how these survivor benefit choices work and the impacts on your bottom line, the impact to your spouse if something happened to you, you want to make sure you're making the right choice and setting your family up for success down the road. Now, we want you to live long into retirement, but if something did happen, you want to be protected. Make sure your spouse and family is protected.